Before entering the square, ask your observer if Omnibus 1 is right for you. Omnibus 1 is indicated for individuals experiencing acute reality retention, lingering ego, or persistent attachments to linear time.
Do not consume Omnibus 1 if you are anchored to the same. Side effects are rare but may include mild to severe sensory expansion, dry mouth, metallic taste, localized auditory anomalies, sudden loss of personal preference, perception of discordant frequencies, and total perception of autocollapse. If you experience a continuous state of hollow lungs lasting for more than 4 seconds, discontinue breathing and find an anchor immediately. Omnibus 1 does not store the noise, it merely accelerates dissolution. Names and locales exist within a simulated framework. Remember, I am the confident, I hold the reins.
The Sensory Intrusion by the Memeticist.
Chapter 2.
Here you go.
The clerk's voice was thin and raspy, like parchment tearing. A small, battered paperback emerged from beneath the counter and dropped onto the 2 blank journals Sam had already selected. The sound it made was odd, a heavy, wet thud that seemed to vibrate through the counter.
Wow, that can't be right.
The clerk muttered, her eyes widening as she stared at the register.
It says your total is $777.
Sam looked down at the pile. A trio of sevens, a gambler's dream, or a cheap omen. For a fleeting second, he wondered if he could simply nod and walk away with the extra items for free, but the thought dissipated in his mind almost instantly. Oh, it looks like you may have missed this one. He lifted the top 2 books so she could see the barcode hidden beneath. She scanned them in. Beep, beep.
13 flat.
Her voice had dropped an octave, turning flat and hollow. It sent a sudden cold prickle down Sam's spine, a frantic internal warning bell, but he shoved the sensation aside. You're overthinking it, he told himself. She's just a tired clerk and it probably has nothing to do with me. He paid, grabbed the plastic bag, and hurried out. In his rush, he failed to notice that he had forgotten to ask how they'd even procured a copy of that specific title. By the time the door shut behind him, the question had already sunken into the gray fog of his subconscious. The parking lot was a concrete wasteland. Aside from an idling truck, coughing black exhaust, and a nondescript blue sedan, only his white panel van remained. He tossed the bag onto the passenger seat, ensuring the books were wedged securely. Sam was a man of precise habits. He drove exactly at the speed limit, a speed that was agonizingly slow. He'd had only 1 ticket in his life, but the memory felt like a stain that he never wanted to repeat. The way home was a road that stretched into the horizon like a white and gray ribbon, cutting through a desolate landscape of sand and desert scrub. Home was a single-wide trailer that smelled of dust and damp. The white panel van crunched over the sun-bleached gravel, pulling into the narrow slot beside it. Before Sam could kill the engine, he saw her. Mrs. Gable was standing in the center of her pink forest, a 10 by 10 plot of dirt packed so densely with plastic flamingos it looked like a preserved neon explosion. She was holding a spray bottle of Windex and a ragged cloth, meticulously polishing the beak of a particularly faded bird. Sam stayed in the driver's seat for a 3-beat count. Inhale, hold, exhale. He felt the weight of the book in the passenger seat, a gravitational anchor pulling at his ribs. He stepped out, the desert heat rushed in, smelling of creosote and the faint sweet rot of the community citrus tree.
You're late, Samuel,
Mrs. Gable chirped. She didn't look up from her task.
The light is hitting the angles all wrong today. Look at them. They're squinting.
Sam leaned against the van's door, his hand lingering on the handle. It's just the sun, Mrs. Gable. It's 104 degrees. Everything is squinting. She finally looked at him. Her eyes, hidden behind oversized rose-tinted harlequin glasses, gave off the impression of a giant insect. She pointed her bony finger towards his van.
You brought something heavy back with you. I can see the suspension dipping on the right side. Is it more rocks? More of that gray silence you're always digging for?
Sam felt a sharp, hot needle of pain bloom behind his brow. How did she know of the weight? Just supplies. He lied, his voice flat. Mrs. Gable stepped over a row of flamingos. Her movements jerky and avian-like, said birds. She stopped at the edge of her property line, her gaze fixed on the passenger side window as if she could sense where the book lay.
I had a dream about a square one.
She whispered, her voice suddenly dropping to a conspiratorial rasp.
A perfect four-sided thing. I woke up screaming because there was nowhere for the air to get out. That's why I keep them in threes, Sam. 3 is a door. 3 is a breath.
She sprayed a cloud of Windex into the air between them. The chemical mist caught the light, creating a fleeting, rainbow-slicked prism.
Don't let the gray ones in, Samuel. They don't have enough color to be real. They'll eat your eyes and leave you with nothing but the hum.
She turned her back to her flock without waiting for a reply, humming a tune that was just a fraction of a note off key. Sam didn't answer. He watched her for a moment, noticing the fourth flamingo, the headless one buried neck-deep near his own power meter, its jagged, hollow neck pointed directly at his front door like a silent plastic chimney. He turned to the van. His pulse began that internal tempo. Tap, 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 tap. 3 is a breath, he muttered to himself, grabbing the plastic bag. He ignored the headless bird and began the routine process of carrying his truth into the dust-choked shadows of his home. He moved with mechanical efficiency, transferring the contents of his cooler into the fridge and freezer. He tore away cardboard packaging, nestling frozen meals and milk into the cramped spaces, not unlike a Tetris player obsessed with order. Only when the perishables were safe did he allow himself to look at it, beyond the veil of sleep. He sat at a small dining table. The book was terrifyingly heavy, possessing a gravitational pull that seemed to tug at the loose skin of his palms. He turned it over, tracing the deep, jagged creases in the back cover. Someone either loved you or hated you, he breathed. The front cover was attached with yellowed Scotch tape that looked more like dried skin. It was an enigmatic rag of a book, a limited printing by an author who likely died in obscurity. Yet he knew its significance. Sam lifted the book to his face. Closing his eyes, he inhaled. The first notes were familiar, aged paper and the dry vanilla scent of decaying lignin. But as he drew the air deeper into his lungs, the scent shifted. It became musty, like a cedar that hadn't seen sunlight in a century. Then came the metallic tang of old blood, a faint whiff of pressed lilies, and, beneath it all, a sharp chemical stench. It was the smell of formaldehyde and something sickly sweet, like fruit rotting in a sealed jar. With his eyes still shut, he let the book fall open to a random page and took one more deep but now shaking breath, as if trying to consume the words through his nose. His eyes opened. The text on the left-hand page seemed to shimmer. Contain your focus, still your tongue, before the web of thought is spun. To seek the shape is to grant it form. To name the cold is to keep it warm. If you have seen it, do not blink. If you have heard it, do not think. Awareness is the open gate. Forgetting is the only weight that holds the shadow from your door. Read no further. Seek no more. A violent shiver racked Sam's frame, despite the stagnant heat of the trailer. The air in the room suddenly felt thin, as if the poem itself had sucked the oxygen out of the corner. He gently closed the book, taking no note of the page. It was placed off to the side with no small amount of reverence, as Sam reached for his current journal. Though its spine matched the thickness of a college textbook, it was nearly full. Only one blank page remained, the very last one. Following his lifelong ritual of unburdening, he began to write. He detailed the day, his brief, shameful impulse to steal the journals, and the strange, heavy coldness of the paperback. Every stroke of the pen responded to his thoughts, the torrent of the savage river demanding exit from the medium. He wrote until the guilt dissolved, bled out through the ink on the page. At the very bottom of the final page, he finished the entry with a signature, a meticulously drawn doodle of a celandine flower, 7 petals, perfectly symmetrical.